this going?
You ready? Oh my God, so many microphones.
Tall.
I kind of feel short here. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending today. Thank you, Congresswoman DeLauro, Rick Dunn, Mayor Smith, Tom Haynes, Dave Morgan, Mr. Koneski from Beacon Falls. Thank you all for being here today. Congresswoman DeLauro, thank you for recognizing that this project will have some significant impact on our valley. Not only, as I said, Seymour and Beacon Falls, but the entire valley. I made this project a priority, and Rosa stands here today supporting our efforts with a significant contribution from the federal government to get this access road built. This road will open up 220 acres of developable property that will include jobs, residential units, retail. This will help the housing crisis that we face here in Connecticut, both with workforce housing as well as market rate. And we know right now that we're facing that dilemma as people are looking for places in Seymour to live, and we have nothing. Thank you to Tom Haynes and his team for their vision, Sheila O'Malley for working so hard on getting us this grant. We appreciate all your hard work, and last but not least, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro for your dedication and commitment, not just to Seymour, but to the Valley towns. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. Wow, what a wonderful day. I'm so delighted to be here. This is a beautiful room, by the way. I was just telling Anne Marie that I love the color. It's great, and the posters are fabulous here. So I want to say thank you to everyone for being here this morning. It really is very, very exciting. We're celebrating a $3 million community project, and it's for the town of Seymour and Beacon Falls. And as I understand it, it's 10 years, but it's more than 10 years. It's 20 years. It's 20 years, as Tom was explaining this to me. And he's right. He's a Fairhaven kid. It's really New Haven here that's represented as well this morning. But to Anne Marie, the first select woman, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the great work that you do and the advocacy here, and it's a pleasure to work with you as we have in this issue and others as well. It was fun coming through Seymour, and I was explaining to a couple of the staff folks who have come up from Washington. I said, you got to just see all the antiques in this town. I said, it's really beautiful. Look at this Main Street. It's really fabulous. So I also want to recognize Beacon Falls First Selectman, Gerald Smith. State Senator Cabrera could not be here this morning. Obviously, Tom with Haynes Development. Bill Purcell is the president and the CEO. And Mike, welcome here. And David, who is president of Team Inc., thank you so much. And a thank you to you, Sheila, for all the work that you do on the grants efforts. And Kathy, thank you for all of your hard work as well. And Rick Dunn, Executive Director of the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, thank you for being here as well, Rick. As you always are, and you've been in this position for a while and do an outstanding job. That's okay. That's what they say about me too, Rick. But you get things done, and that's what's the critical part of all of this. Really excited to be here to celebrate a critical funding. This is supporting economic development, and as the first elect woman said, 220 acres of land located along Route 8, the Waterbury rail line. It's going to bring a unique transit-oriented development to the area with, it's an economic generator for Seymour, for Beacon Falls, for the entire valley. And it's about providing hundreds of jobs and creating market rate and affordable housing for all of our residents. And you said it absolutely right. Every single day there's an article in the paper about the housing crisis in our state and in our communities. And quite frankly, I think we have to, as a nation, address this issue, because it's not just here. It really is everywhere. Seymour really is one of America's first industrial villages. It has gone through its ups and downs since it was incorporated in 1850. But we all know it is such a beautiful, appealing town. As I mentioned, the antique background here, rich history, as now a prosperous and a viable center for business and for light industry, as well as a community that places tremendous amount of importance on education for our youngsters and a quality of life for the people of this community. Beacon Falls also has strong industrial roots. It is where Thomas Sanford created the first friction matches, and where the Beacon Falls Rubber Shoe Company and the Homer D. Bronson Company shaped the community. Rolling hills, working farmland, deep forests, it's idyllic, a reflection of the spirit of New England. It draws families to the community. It may be small, but it boasts a solid tax base with a variety of retail, manufacturing, construction, and service businesses that are the town's economic backbone. The funding that we celebrate today will be, at least we believe, and I believe this is true, it will be a springboard for what is the largest public-private partnership in the valley. It will spur retail and economic growth in Seymour, Beacon Falls, and again in the entire valley. More specifically, the funding will help to build a 2-mile road that will connect Route 67 in Seymour to Route 42 in Beacon Falls, along with the installation of public utilities, that's water, sewer, stormwater, electrical, broadband, and fiber optic cables. This connector road will provide access to land for development projects in both towns and will run parallel to the Naugatuck River Greenway. The section of the Greenway will be an important part of the mixed-use development envisioned in this corridor. You know, I'm excited about this, but this is the ability to do this. You all know that community projects were really, I guess, banned, or, you know, we didn't move forward for about 11 years with regard to earmarks for our communities. And the press asked me once, why was I calling them community projects? Why? Because in the restructuring of the projects program, what we did was we said that there needed to be genuine community support for what we were going to do. It wasn't about me going in a room and saying, oh, I think today we'll do this, we'll go here, we'll go there. No. But it is about the documentation of the community endorsement of these projects. And that is what clearly has happened. And what we try to do with bringing the community projects back, what indeed is to make them more transparent. Requirements that said that neither I nor my family has any financial interest in this effort, that we would, as I say, be transparent. The projects are all up on a website, etc., so that people, can see what is going on. And what is so important, in my view, about these projects is that the requirement is ensured so that the funding is responsibly directed. I believe that members of Congress working with the communities know what the issues are and what people care about. So the funds go directly to the communities and allow us to move forward with local infrastructure projects. It fosters new development. It invests in child care. It builds climate resiliency. We help our healthcare centers in supporting patients' medical needs, and so much more. I also think that these are the kinds of things that help our cities and towns. You want to do these projects, but you sure as hell don't want to increase property taxes, because you know what the problems with that are and what's going to happen with residents if you do that. So this plays an extraordinary role, I believe, in allowing projects to get done that would never get done because of the economic consequences of it. So I've had the pleasure in the last several months to go throughout the district to talk about the community projects and to see how the investments are helping families with rising costs, helping to revitalize our communities in so many ways, creating jobs, and put taxpayers' dollars back in the pockets of working people. So I view it as something that I have been honored to be able to do through the Appropriations Committee, and I will continue to work on this effort to remain committed to our communities, like here in Seymour and in Beacon Falls. And I'm the ranking member of that committee now, but I have the same commitment to this effort as I did when I was chair of the committee. Many, many, many thanks for joining us here today. I'm excited about our ability to work together and the future partnerships. So many community groups come together in order to be able to do this. It's a partnership with the community groups, with local government, with state government, and all of the folks who have been instrumental in bringing us to this point today. I'm so grateful. But with that, let me, we'll take up your questions, but I want to first turn things over to Gerald Smith to say a few words. Where are you? There you are. I can't miss you.
I'm right here.
I can't miss you.
He's the tall, good-looking guy. Thank you, Congresswoman DeLauro. This is definitely a turning point in this project. When I first took office back in 2011, it was something that was a dream that Tommy Haynes and he talked about, he shared it with me, and it was coming together, but the timing just wasn't right. And I don't think there could be a better partner than the Haynes Group, and Tommy specific, to bring something like this forward as a public-private partner. But it's been a group. It's been a group that's been doing it, from the COG, from Bill with development, and team has always helps out with as was spoken. There is a housing issue. There is just a need for good, positive development. And this is a good step in the right direction, in the right area, with the right developer, to bring positive development to the Valley area. I believe it's one of the largest undeveloped pieces in the Valley corridor here. So I'm excited to stand behind it. As the Congresswoman did say, we are a small little town. We live in the shadow of Seymour. But I'm standing here as the first selectman of Beacon Falls to say that we work proudly with everybody. So, and without further ado, and I just want to again say thank you, Congresswoman, for all that you do for us. And I will turn it over to Rick Dunn, and he'll share from the COG.
Thank you, Mr. First Selectman. Good morning. I wanted to talk a little bit about this from the Valley perspective, from the regional perspective. The Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, we are the federally authorized metropolitan planning organization. Most people don't understand this, but the CEOs, the first select persons of our towns, our mayors, they actually decide how your federal transportation dollars get spent. Once the Congress appropriates them, they come here. It's not the state DOT. They think it is. It's not. It's the mayors and first select persons. So we've been working on a strategy for the Naugatuck Valley line, the Waterbury branch line, the highway, and the truth is the least expensive and most efficient way to move people is by rail through the Naugatuck Valley into Fairfield County, into New Haven. If we have to build highways, if we have to expand highways to get this done, it's billions more, tens of billions of dollars more. So concentrating density around rail makes the most sense. Our ability to work with the community, to work with developers, to work with our towns, to create the kind of density that allow for mixed income neighborhoods and mixed use development is the most important thing we can do to promote growth in Connecticut. My friends in the General Assembly, with all due respect, they haven't figured this out. They think towns like Bethlehem and Sterling need an affordable housing plan. Well, tell me how you get there. We need to build affordability around transportation. We need to build density around transportation. This is the place to get it done. We have a huge project, $25 million raise grant at the Derby Shelton Station from the Congress. Downtown Ansonia has a significant development project around their rail station. Naugatuck has another project. Waterbury has a new $20 million Tiger raise grant around their station now. And this project, 200 acres. It's unbelievable. It is the piece of property that can be best exploited for taxpayers and for everyone else who lives in this region and business who want to settle here. I'll stop there. I'll stop talking. I usually talk too much. Appreciate your time. Happy to be here with you. And I want to introduce President of the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce, Bill Purcell.
Thank you. Good morning, Congresswoman, and welcome back to your beloved valley with yet another installment on our valley's economic growth. You know what they say, when you're hot, you're hot. $26.3 million throughout the 3rd Congressional District. Just 10 days ago, the Congresswoman was in Ansonia to deliver nearly $3 million in community project federal funding to support the redevelopment of the former Ansonia Copper and Brass and Farrell complex in North Main Street, together with Sheila, into a modern day, right, commercial and industrial center. That is, and I said it's an ambitious and bold project with your critical investment, it just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. And this was going to help to remediate, the legacy of our industrial past, to clean it up, to knock down the buildings, to open it up for new development. Let me say this. Ever since the congressman was elected over 30 years ago, right, Rosa has delivered critical federal funding resources to countless numbers of projects and made life in our valley better and better for everyone. And it's not only the resources, Rosa. It's your passion, it's your energy, it's your advocacy, your strong advocacy that we really are most grateful for. At the core of Rosa's work is her fight for working families. And that starts with a commitment to building a strong economy. We all know that the best form of social welfare is a good job, right? It's a good paying job. This is something Tom shares, right? And what you have done. We all share this, right? I say I'm a social worker in a business suit. It's all about putting people to work. Gainful employment, right, is so important. As ranking member and former chair of the House Appropriations Committee, your influence is felt across so many issues, including labor, health, human services, food safety, child nutrition. We went through Perkin-Elmer a few months ago, and Rosa was fascinated by the work that's being done here in our valley to make our food safe, to make our water quality safe. Really extraordinary, and they were so happy to have you there. To our first selectmen, to our CEOs, you have an opportunity to make this not only a state model, but a national model of intermunicipal cooperation. We have 169 cities and towns in this state, right? But you have an opportunity to raise the bar, to come together for the good of our communities, for the good of our economy. I know you're going to do that with this partnership. Finally, let me say this. Every successful real estate development project needs a tried and proven developer to execute. So under the leadership of Tom Haynes, Haynes Development has certainly achieved that status with the development of the award-winning Quarry Walk project. In fact, I'm going to invite you to a party tomorrow night, a rooftop party at the very next phase, the residences at Quarry Walk. This is the first community of its kind. It was conceived by, built by, marketed, and now managed by Tom and his able team, including his son Patrick, and the project manager extraordinaire, Kathy Ekstrom. Spread across 30 acres, this project brings together retail, residential, office spaces, medical facilities, all surrounding a town green. What a vision. So we can't wait till this vision unfolds as well. Let me end with this, and I share Rick's enthusiasm and Rosa's enthusiasm. We are bullish about the outlook for our valley, really. We are so bullish, and Rick outlined it beautifully. The federal infrastructure bill is going to bring $5.6 billion into the state, $5.6 billion in transportation infrastructure improvement. And we're going to take full advantage of that, and we are. Upgrades to Route 8, $150 million in the Waterbury branch line at least, right? It's extraordinary. Route 34. So the best is yet to come. And this project will certainly be one of the highlights. So with that, I'm going to turn it to my dear friend and chamber director, one of my bosses,
Okay.
Mr. Tom Haynes.
Well, thanks everybody for coming on down. And thank you to Bill, to Rick, and Marie. And I'm going to save the best for last. My buddy Jerry, to Dave Morgan, and to Mike, and to everybody. And to you, Congresswoman. She referenced, she thought it was 10, and I had a reminder because it went back so far that I'm even forgetting this. Back about 20 years ago, we bought this property probably about 22, 23 years ago, and we had decided to turn it into a project. And we weren't sure what it was, but we knew it was going to be as big of 200 acres as you can make it. And we were able to reach out to Congresswoman DeLauro, and she came on up to our office in Seymour. Now, back in the early 2000s, we were growing our business, and my brother Paul and I were partners. And, you know, to have Congresswoman DeLauro come to visit us was, in all honesty, we were amazed that a congresswoman would take the time to come see a couple, just a couple small business people up in the valley. And we pitched our idea, and she walked away and got $750,000 earmarked back in the mid-2004, somewhere around there, 2006, for this project. And then Rick, who we've been around together for decades too, you guys had tried to get our project moving, and it was just the wrong time. And so that money didn't get spent. I think the majority of it went actually back to the federal government. And it was sad for us, but it was the right thing because it was the wrong time. But Congresswoman DeLauro has not forgotten. She had said, hey, just a Fairhaven kid. I think there's something really cool about this, that Congresswoman DeLauro would be standing up here and would have come to our little office 20 years ago. That my parents grew up in Fairhaven, as Congresswoman DeLauro knows very well of her community, and our business was started by my dad. And I think that as we all stand up here, and we're going to share a little bit about what our kind of thought of this is that there's a saying that I always stays in my mind. All of us as young people leave home searching for all of the answers to our questions. And eventually, we all return home for the answer. And for us, I say a couple, I think of my brother, who grew up in Seymour. Parents are from Fairhaven. I think that this project is because of the legacy of people like my father and Congresswoman DeLauro that will be outrageously successful to help other people. I'm a staunch advocate of capitalism, as one can imagine. But I'm sort of one of those capitalists that believe that you can do good in this world, and that capitalism is not a one-way street. And that if you really want to make a difference, you can be successful in business and do a project that helps other people. And I believe that's why Congresswoman DeLauro has stepped up and said, we're going to help kick this project off. I gotta be, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize two important people, because I don't think Congresswoman DeLauro and I would be standing here with you all if it weren't for Lou and Kathy, who behind the scenes make Congresswoman DeLauro and I seem really tall.
Just Rosa, Tom, stop.
It's those two people that make Rosa and I seem like very smart people. And thank you to Kathy and to Lou. And I mean that. We've been together on this, Lou, together for 20 years. Weren't you involved? Yes, yeah, you were. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't recognize you today. I just wanted to know. Anyway, so with that, the project is 220 plus acres, a couple miles of road to connect, which is what this Congresswoman Rosa has kickstarted this. And I'm not going to go into great detail because I think Rosa had really done a better job than I in detailing what this project is going to be. But we just finished a project, or we're finishing a project up the street that Bill invited everybody to come out to, called Quarry Walk. And that was 30 acres of a quarry that we had bought in the late night in 1999. It started a company that broke off from our construction company, that little piece of mountain created a company that had over 300 people working for it, and really fed a lot of people during the time of our operation. And what we then did was decide to turn that into a development. And that project now, as we're finishing it, has over 2,000 jobs that exist there that didn't exist The majority of them didn't exist when we started this project. It brings over $1.5 million to $2 million of tax revenue to the town of Oxford. That's net. I mean, it's incredible. And it's a place that makes people's lives better. And if you haven't been up there, you really should go on up and see, because there are a lot of people that have now come to live there and shop there and meet their daily needs and have found a better life just because of Quarry Walk. So with that, you know, it's easy to, everybody loves success, so it's easy to find a lot of people to stand behind a project like that now. But there's a lot of people that stood behind this project, and it's Jerry and Anne Marie and Rick, and really both towns, including Mike, have stood behind this project. So this project is basically going to be a blank canvas that we're going to turn and try to create using a lot of what we learned at Quarry Walk, and try to bring all those concepts of retail and medical and light industrial and business and medical care and housing. I'm going to talk in a minute about the train station, so we'll kind of touch that button in a minute. But housing is something that I believe, as everybody really knows, is that we really have a problem in our nation, not just in Connecticut. I believe that housing is one of the biggest issues that business people have and don't deal with. I am a true believer that the most important thing a company has going for it, the most important part of a business, is the people that work for you. And if you can't afford to pay people to be in your business because they can't afford to put food on their table, because they can't afford a house, that's wrong. It's wrong for so many social issues. But with the help of some of our directors in the chamber, we're picking this issue up. And we believe that from a business perspective, providing and building wonderful housing, not cheap crap housing, but really good housing for people to live in that's affordable, is a business decision that is good for all businesses, can help business and help a lot of the issues within the community. So our commitment, and we've had the Commissioner of Department of Housing, Shayla, has been out to visit us, and she's an incredible. If you haven't met Shayla, she's unbelievable. She doesn't belong in government, because she just is getting things done and trying to get some of this message out. Well, with the help of a couple of directors and Bill, we're going to create a bit of a coalition from the Valley Chamber to get some businesses behind it, because our goal is to eliminate food insecurity and housing in the Valley. Not in the world, just in the Valley. We're going to stay at our kitchen table, because I think that's where we can make the most impact. So our goal is to help, not just help, I think we can do this as a group to eliminate food insecurity and provide housing, because housing is the underlying cause of food insecurity. And that's where David Morgan's going to speak in a minute, because he's our evangelist, and he's somebody that actually I get inspired by. So we intend to have a lot of housing on this project, and the housing is going to be one that anybody would want to live in. It's going to have workforce housing. It's going to have high quality. All the housing is going to be high quality, and it's going to be mixed in within an entire community as we develop this. I think one of the core issues that our biggest hurdle right now, after we've gotten through today, is that we need to get a consolidation of the train stations between Seymour and Beacon Falls, and provide a platform and train stop in the center of this that would serve both Seymour and Beacon Falls, and the hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people that are going to work here, live here, take a ride up to get on the Greenway, do their shopping, get health care, do all of those things. I believe that the train station is a vital part of a true transit-oriented development, and it makes workforce housing make sense. No other place in the state do we have this. This project will not just be a local regional impact. This could be a national project that, if I live long enough to see it built, will be transformative to the entire valley and the state of Connecticut. So that's where I'm at. And with that, I'll answer some questions later, but I think David Morgan.
Well, we're going to get Mike, and then we'll get David.
Okay.
Say, okay? Here we go.
Thank you. I think it's very, very interesting and exciting about this project is that we're going back to our roots, actually. If you look at the history in New England of community, company towns, and the whole idea of that the company maintained the housing for its workforce, and you look at Beacon Falls specifically, which is an Olmsted town, where they were brought in to lay out the community so that the workers would be able to have a place to live and just walk down the hill to their business. This whole concept, like I say, is not new. I'm glad to see it's come in a way to come back, but it looks like it is the wave of the future. And so this is very, very exciting. And again, thank you to Tommy for continuing to dream. As he said, we've been talking about this for more than just a couple of days. And thank you to everyone who's been involved. Rosa for the funding, and I will just say this, and it says, I just look forward to this funding being the first of a number of checks that we will see here in the Valley. All right, thank you.
David Morgan, president of team.
Hi, everyone. I'll be brief. A lot of us talking at you, and how do I follow this? I think I'm going to kind of riff here, but I would be remiss not to point out how inspired we all are. I'm standing in the town of Seymour, and this collaboration between the town of Seymour and the town of Beacon Falls. But just about a week ago, right at Quarry Walk, we heard a lot of testimonials about Quarry Walk in Oxford, but the town of Seymour, the town of Oxford coming together and having its first ever Juneteenth event. And it really helped deconstruct some of the misunderstandings. The world we're all swimming through, we are absolutely not hopelessly divided. We are so closer to one another than, the world around us and the social media, if you will, wants to make us believe. Tom Haynes, Patrick, Kathy, you made that possible. We would never have been able to create that space to bring neighbors and community together like we did just a little over a week ago. I emphasize that because Team Inc.'s self-interest is two major areas here around housing. Number one, we need to increase the supply of workforce opportunity housing. The Valley, the state of Connecticut, and I'd argue across the country, will sink without a housing fix. And number two, we need to increase sensitivity and understanding to the issue when we throw these words around, affordable housing, and how do we deconstruct decades, and I'd argue hundreds of years of misunderstanding and some of the bad decisions and choices we made decades ago around these two words, affordable housing. And I'll end with a couple of stories. I shared these last fall. Right here in Seymour, a private corporate CEO, manufacturing, does a lot of work, including for the U.S. Defense Department, and multiple manufacturing workers right here in Seymour, making anywhere from $22 to $27 an hour. But in that 12-month span, had 7 different workers approach this CEO and say, can I borrow from my pension? Can I borrow my vacation time off? What's the problem? 100% of the response was the cost of the housing over their head. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about our older adults who raise their family in this beautiful Valley region and are looking to downsize. They may have lost their loved ones. They have lost their loved ones. I've done town halls throughout these communities right here in the Valley. Look at me in the eye and say, David, I raised my family. They're off. They're thriving somewhere else. My loving husband passed away. I can't afford to downsize in the very community I did so. Our older adults, our greatest generation, that's what Tom is talking about. That's what we're all talking about when we talk about workforce and opportunity and, dare I say, affordable housing. So we say these words and I wait for the electricity to go out. And so we're really trying to bring people together, increase that understanding. The science and the empirical evidence is very clear. All roads, no pun intended, all roads lead to housing. You can look at student academic achievement and correlate it to accessible, affordable, decent, safe housing. You can look at population level health and wellness from a healthcare lens and correlate that to the condition of housing. You can look at economic development, opportunity, gainful employment. You can correlate it to access to housing. It is no coincidence the Connecticut Business Industry Association are the best chamber in the state of Connecticut, singing the same song that Team Inc. has been singing. We need to address housing if we're truly going to have economic boom. And so any opportunity that we can do to bring peoples together and increase that supply of housing, and above all, how do we reverse the stigma of what we're talking about when we talk about workforce opportunity housing. So a big kudos and appreciation to First Selectman Smith, First Selectwoman Dragonis, and above all, Congresswoman DeLauro, who sits with our residents from all walks of life, you know, hospitality and retail workers, healthcare workers, by the way, the largest employer, Griffin Health Services, hearing it straight from the CEO. I couldn't say it better than Mr. Patrick Charmel, but he needs a workforce singing the same song, where's the housing? A lot of interest in this. A big win for Seymour and Beacon Falls. Equally a big win for the Greater Valley, from Shelton all the way up to Waterbury. And the studies are very clear. You heard Rick talk about density and transit-oriented housing development. When you have within a half-mile reliable transit and you create housing where density is tolerable, Tom Haynes' vision with the housing included in these 200 acres, the residents' average cost for transportation goes from 19% to 9%. That's money going right back in the pockets of people who need it the most, working their butts off. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to spend it on local business, local merchants, et cetera, et cetera. So really inspired and excited. This would not have happened without our elected leaders. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. I mean, what a really remarkable and a very exciting morning and project. And I'm sorry, we should never return $1 to the federal government. We should maintain all the dollars that we have are here. So let's not get it back to them. Let's just keep getting more. But it's so exciting for me to listen to the commentary about how we can have development and successful businesses, and at the same time look at the integration of the social issues that people face today. And people have talked about the housing. Housing, or lack thereof, is the biggest source of poverty in this country, is affordable housing. The issue of, Tom, I don't call it food insecurity, I call it hunger. The hunger in our own community. In this district, 1 out of 7 people don't know where their next meal is coming from. So you translate that nationwide, and there is a crisis of hunger in the United States, in a nation that has an abundance of food, and where no one should go to bed hungry at night. No child should as well. But the combination of the vision, the business acumen, the collaboration with municipalities, with nonprofits, with the institutions like the Chamber and the COGS and the community development side of this, and the local political folks who know that we can't do these things by ourselves. And that collaboration with business, with development, not turn it aside and say they don't understand, they're there just for the profit. Well, the profit is not a bad thing, but when you listen to Tom speak, and you listen to him in understanding that what are the consequences of the development, and those he's willing and his team is willing to engage and involved in, and in collaboration with team. Team is not off in the corner by itself, trying to help people to make their way. But it is that collaborative effort that is represented here that is really so exciting to me in terms of the projects that I have been visiting. Really, I did this in 2021, 2022, and now in 2023. And so this is really, this conversation has been one of the most exhilarating conversations about what we can do with federal dollars. And I would hope my colleagues could hear this as well. Some of them don't believe in the community projects, so be it. However, they'll take advantage of them when they come along, but it's okay. We've got people here who know it, who understand it, and are putting it to the best use. So really excited to be here. Questions, suggestions, complaints? Go for it. And Tom said he would explain stuff. And then any questions, folks? Yes. That was good, healthy. Get to the gym.
My question, first of all, is, I don't like all this traffic on Route 67, and it's getting pretty bad, and Quarry Walk and all, people moving in cars and so forth, it's become a bit of an abomination. And I'm just wondering, is anything being done about fixing the traffic lights, maybe adding some, there's not few, of course, obviously, there's some people, doing something about Route 67, things with that also, I mean, I'd like to ask
Rick? Looks like you're on the spot, Rick.
I am here. So, yeah, thank you for the question. So you're right. There are difficulties along Route 67. It's a road that was built in the 40s, really, at its current size. So there's a long-term project to improve 67 from from Bank Street Bridge up to where the Little River actually crosses up at the top by West Street. Those improvements should be under construction, I think, next season. It's going to smooth traffic. It's going to help with some turning lanes. It's going to help to move things along. But the important thing to keep in mind, I'll answer really in the context of this event today. What we're talking about is building activity at a site that's not dependent on motor vehicles primarily. We're talking about transit connections. We're talking about rail connections to get in and get out. People will use cars less frequently, and the proof is there. There are fewer trips average per day by people who live in developments like this versus people who live in a normal subdivision out in the suburbs where you can't get to anything without a car. So I don't know if that answers your specific question about Route 67. I can tell you 67, 115, 42, they're all on the drawing board. They're all on our long-range plans, and we continue to invest federal funds with state DOT on all those state roads.
Anyone else? Okay. Anthony? Okay, let's get the folks here. Come, here we go. Come. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let me just make this here, too. This is the $3 million check.
You want us to get in
Yes.
front of this?
Should we get in front of it? That's a very good idea, Tom. Thanks. Okay. All right. Anne Marie? You can take it to the bank, guys.